this morning.
He did not give a timeline for how long the U.S. would remain in and around that strait, though. Of course, the reason why that matters is because the oil that is trying to get through there impacts the entire global supply of oil and gas prices, which includes the now $4 a gallon average here at home.
Prior to the war, about 20% of the world's oil supply passed through the waterway. The jury now seated here in the trial of the man accused of killing Milwaukee police officer Kendall Corder. Tremaine Jones facing 4 felony charges, including first-degree intentional homicide and attempted homicide in connection to the shooting last summer. 9 men and 5 women were selected for the jury, 2 of them serving as alternates. The jury was selected from a pool of 100 potential jurors. Many were dismissed after stating they could not stay off social media or refrain from talking about the court proceedings. Both sides are now delivering opening statements. And another teen takeover in the Milwaukee area.
Moody Park is going to be about 23rd an hour for a large crowd that's forming regarding that park takeover.
That's scanner audio from Broadcastify. Police responding to multiple fights between dozens of teenagers. Reports of gunfire as well near the park last night. Comes after at least a dozen people were arrested during a teen takeover at Bayshore Mall on Sunday. Time for news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management market update. Everything in the green. The Dow is up 400 points at 45,615. The NASDAQ is up well over 1% at 21,140. And the S&P 500 sitting up 79 points at 6,422. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:04.
So I was talking with another real estate agent who has been in the business even longer than I have, with a couple of other big-name companies. He was talking about how it's tough to compete with us because we have good agents and we charge less commission. And he even said that he lost a few listings to us, and it always bothered him because he realized that he was doing everything that we were doing, but he was charging more. We do charge less, and we do everything that a full-service agency does. Because we are full-service real estate agents. The only difference is we give you our very best commission rate up front. You do pay for what you get. And with Century 21 Benefit Realty for 1.9% on the listing side of your home, with a cap of $19,000 commission on any size home, you can get full-service experienced agents, MLS marketing, professional photos, even virtual walkthroughs, and everything you get from any other big-name agent, all under the umbrella of the Century 21 brand. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated.
Wisconsin weather doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, we make upgrading your home simple. Right now, order today and get 0% interest until 2032. You heard me right. 0% interest all the way until 2032. Upgrade your windows and doors now and pay over time without paying interest. With our 10-year limited warranty, you can feel confident in your investment. Schedule your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. 3/31/2026.
Get the help you need Saturday morning with How To Radio. At 7, it's the WTMJ Fix It Show with David Nason, featuring this week's guest, CertaPro Painters. At 9, plan your dream vacation with the Fox World Travel Show. And at 10, get financial guidance during Money Talk. Contact Annex Wealth Management for an unbiased review of your investments at annexwealth.com. How To Radio, Saturday mornings on WTMJ.
Time for a WTMJ sports update from the Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all sports desk. Brewers continuing their series with the Rays tonight at American Family Field, coming off a 3-2 loss in Game 1 of that 3-game set. Brandon Woodruff making his first start of the season tonight. Manager Pat Murphy on Wisconsin's Morning News.
He's the one veteran we have on our starting staff, and he sets the tone. So it'll be good to get him back out here. He's actually on track earlier than we thought. We didn't think we'd have him until maybe 10 or 15 days from now, but he was chomping at the bit to go. We're excited to have him back out there.
Of course, we'll have coverage of Game 2 tonight between the Brewers and Rays. All of that starting at 6:05 here on WTMJ. Bucks trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. They'll be at home tonight against the Dallas Mavericks. You can hear coverage of the game starting at 6:30 over on our sister station, 94.5 ESPN. Let's take a look at the roads. Your WTMJ time saver traffic. Couple of issues, 94 westbound, not only because of our construction zone there, but also a report of a crash right near Hawley Road. So that is kind of causing some backups. You're seeing those starting at Hawley until you get past Layton. It does look like they maybe have gotten the vehicle out of that area, but again, still kind of tapping the brakes there through that part of the system. Otherwise, rest of the roadways are looking good. In your forecast, seeing some showers and storms kind of moving across parts of the area, and that will continue throughout much of today. Temperatures will continue to fall. Don't know if we're going to get a whole lot warmer. Highs, though, in the low 60s, but again, those temps dropping as we move through the day. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a low down to 33. Heading into Wednesday, will be cloudy and cooler. Could maybe see a rain-snow mix tomorrow, a high near 40. And then Thursday, rain will be likely with windy conditions and highs in the low 60s. Right now, it's 59 degrees in Madison. We're sitting at 53 in Kenosha, and it's 52 degrees in Milwaukee. I'm Neil Doyle, Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:08.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scafidi and Kristen Bry.
I guess that's my cue to start talking. We're talking.
We were talking about a different idea.
Yeah. Always ideas on our show.
Always improving.
I never liked the status quo.
I don't think that's true.
I do believe it's true.
I thought you were someone who doesn't like change.
I love change.
I thought you liked tradition.
I do love tradition, but I also like positive change. For example, when you...
As defined by you.
As defined by me, of course. She's Kristen, I'm Steve, by the way. Thanks for joining us on Point Taken on this Tuesday edition. We're going to talk about something else. Well, let's leave the MAGA conversation for a different day.
We're skipping it entirely
We're
now?
skipping because we're going to have a quick opening segment. Because I want to get to this emission thing. I think this is a big story. But unless you really want to dip into the MAGA thing.
Well, that's what you're just abandoning the plan? What?
Yeah, I'm going to abandon the plan here.
Fine, go. Lead the way.
I think that people like tradition, but most people are afraid of change. That's my general take. And they, because we talk, especially in Wisconsin, we talk so much about the things we love to do, right? I was talking to my buddy Tim Tihan at Tihan Nursery yesterday about the traditions of spring, right? I go, why do you think it is that people just wait for those nurseries to open? He goes, because they've just been stuck inside all winter and they're seeing things that are actually alive and growing. He goes, that's a mood changer. And I think in some weird way, we could probably be mood changers on a lot of different topics that relate to how people think about traditions or Wisconsin habits. I think that's something that is ripe for our interpretation as talk show hosts. What do you think?
Sure. Yeah, you said a lot of things.
I did.
And I don't know which direction to take.
Well, you take it the way you want to take it. What do you think of that idea? Do you like the status quo?
No.
Do you like change?
I think that is, yes.
You like change, yes.
Yeah.
Why do you like change?
Because I don't like to sit still very long. I'm like a shark.
You are like a shark.
And so
Please don't bite anyone at work.
I'm not very good at, in general, as a person, you probably have picked this up. Like, I'm not ever very, complacent or accepting that, especially on a personal level, that I am good enough, that there is always a next level of better.
Really?
At almost everything that I do. Yeah.
That's, self-improvement and always aspiring. That's good.
And I've worked on, being negative about it. It doesn't always work. But in general, I think as a fairly ambitious person, it is mostly driven from if what I'm doing today is considered good. I'm like the Woody Allen's quote of I don't want to be a member of a club of any club that will have me.
They have me
right?
as a member.
That it's the idea that I am never where it is today is fine, but it could be better.
But you know that your personal assessment of yourself is not what most of us think about you.
Probably, yeah. But that's what therapists are for, Steve.
Exactly what they have. That's why they get good money to be therapists. I've started. Maybe it's the age in me, because I'm much older than you, and I hate to see positive improvements, efficiencies go by the wayside because we're just so in love with the way we've done. For example,
So are we talking about policy? Are we talking about individuals? What are we talking about?
It's all related. Policies create new ideas, or new ideas create policies, which then become the law of the land, which can change the life and quality of life for everyone that lives in your community or your state or your country. That's why that's all connected. A quick example, mayor example. One of the things I hated when I talked to department heads was, I go, why do we do it this way? We've always done it that way.
Yeah, it's like, well, who said that quote? That's a famous quote. It's like the most dangerous words in the English language that's the way we've always done it.
Which throws efficiencies out the window. There was people still writing things on paper when we had computers. Like, why are you doing that? Why? I like pencil and paper. What's cool if you're an artist or sketch art, whatever. But like for work, use the computer. Don't be afraid of computers. My dad's almost 90. He'll be 90 next week. He uses his smartphone. He's doing all kinds of stuff. He's a scientist. He's a meteorologist. He has adapted at the advanced age of 90 to stream things, to watch and listen to podcasts. That's an example of how it could get. I hate to hear people of any age, I don't want to do that. It's not how I do things. That's just so lazy. That's what I wanted to talk about in this opening segment. I don't know if you got anything out of it. It was a rant that you didn't expect, which is really what my goal was.
But you see what I'm saying, though, as far as that, isn't that the core part of conservative, like the tension between conservatism and like progressivism is like the fact that like conservatives want incremental change and the idea that it's working and we don't need massive fast change and that can create more problems than it solves.
I would argue it's worse than that. Incremental change they don't like. They want to go back to the 1950s. And how we dress and how we apparently acted in the 1950s. And I will remind those folks.
So is that the part of, that part of conservatism didn't appeal to you?
No, it's never appealed to me.
Oh, so conservatism for you is just small government.
And if you're looking for a little MAGA hit on top of this, MAGA to me is populated by people who are former grade school bullies and women who are sort of from the beauty pageant era. They still hang on to whatever that weirdness was. That's who the main occupants of the MAGA house are now. And if you don't like that comment, I appreciate you listening. At least you're open-minded enough to listen to this show. All right, after the break, emissions checking. I hate this idea. Well, I love the idea. I hate that we have to do it for a specific reason.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering why you were so passionate about this. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. I'm curious to hear your take on this. It's
not going to be that hot.
No?
Probably not. I mean, I can manufacture a hot take.
Can you make a hot take?
Let's see if I can come up with one.
Craft one together. Yeah. Put that recipe together. All right, we're just getting warmed up on this Tuesday edition. Thanks for listening. Quick break.
Day after day, year after year, the heavy lifting, the repetitive motion, and now your body feels it. Your back, your knees, your quality of life.
At Access Legal, we stand up for people worn down by work.
Workers' comp is our sole focus, and our team has recovered more than $35 million for Wisconsin workers. From sudden accidents to pain that builds over years of hard work, we're dedicated to fighting for the benefits you're entitled to. If you've been worn down by work, contact Access Legal for a risk-free consultation.
Search AXIS Legal today.
Hey, it's WTMJ, Steve's Committee for Badger Fence. How about this? You look out the yard. You think, that fence has seen some stuff. Maybe it's leaning. Maybe it squeaks in the wind, moves back and forth, falls over. I saw some of that with the recent windy days we had. Maybe it's just time to upgrade. Well, how about calling, like I did, Badger Fence? Called them about, it's probably 8 years ago now. Love my cedar fence. They are good at it. They're great at it. They've been installing fences, get this, since 1945 in the Milwaukee area. Better Business Bureau accredited with an A+ rating, as good as it gets. And they're a longtime NARI Milwaukee member. All important, but they make it so easy. So whether you're choosing wood like we did, ornamental, chain link, PVC vinyl, so many options now, and they all look different and cool in their own unique way. Land on the right look for your home and your budget. Badger Fence, licensed, bonded, and insured. That matters as well. They use the best materials, quality materials. So what matters when you want this fence up? You want to hold up season after season. If a new fence is on your list this year, set up an appointment with BadgerFence.com. BadgerFence.com. Tell them Steve from WTMJ sent you.
Do you have a spot that's too cold in the winter, but if you jack up the heat, the rest of the house is too warm? Vince Vitrano for USA Insulation. Time to get Jeff and his team out to your house. Proper insulation from USA forms a thermal barrier that maintains warmth in the winter and coolness in the summer. Time to get in on thousands of dollars of government efficiency credits. Jeff and his team at USA Insulation find the grants, rebates, reductions, and they discount the cost of your project up front. Get started at usainsulation.net.
USA Insulation.
1017, 620 WTMJ Tuesday. Kristen Bry, the talented and vivacious host. What are the hosts of this show? Vivacious.
I'll take it.
You haven't been called that in a while, I would imagine.
No, I haven't.
What's something that somebody has called you recently in maybe an article about you or description online that you thought, that was interesting. Think about it. You don't have to answer right away.
Okay.
That's always. I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, I don't think I've ever had one where I'm like, oh, that doesn't feel
Firecracker.
no one's written that article.
That was a listener.
You just had listeners tell you that they consider me a firecracker.
I think that's a compliment.
I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll take firecracker over doormat every single
or
time.
dud. Yeah, I mean, firecracker versus dud. No, you don't want that. Anyway, so Tom Tiffany made some headlines yesterday. For a long time, since I think it was 1984, if my notes serve me correctly. Let me just double check. 1984, yes. Part of the Federal Clean Air Act. We've had these special emission checks in the southeastern Wisconsin area. There's multiple counties. We're in Milwaukee County here. To try to improve the air quality of the area around us. You've done this every 2 years.
I think you do it every year in California, don't you?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Smoke tests?
Yeah. Well, before I get into it, what's your thoughts about the emission checks program? I'm just curious.
I think I didn't have one.
Really?
I think I just did,
take it for granted, whatever.
Yeah, well, it's just, I think, this is my 6th year back. It'll be 6 years, and I didn't have my car right away, so I've had to do it twice. And I don't know, it just feels like the same thing as re-registering your car. Like, it's annoying, but it's part of like getting an oil check. Or I think it's just kind of this assumption, and maybe it's because I wasn't even born until after this was in place.
Right,
so it's like, this is all I really know, and it just feels like one of the things that you add on to car ownership. It doesn't bother me, but you seem much more passionate about it.
Well, we talk a lot about efficiency, and we just were talking about that in our previous conversation. So just looking at this since 1984, the cost this is from the Legislative Fiscal Bureau, to the state of Wisconsin, all the programs they have to do associated with this, and the costs associated with the equipment, the forms, all that stuff, $271 million since 1984. Legislative Fiscal Bureau, not my number, their number.
Okay. So it's not what people pay to get the test.
No.
It is what it costs to run a program in the state.
Yeah, because of all the the procedural stuff and coordinating with the vendors.
I mean, over 42 years, that doesn't seem like.
Wouldn't you love to have $271 for something else?
But you don't understand that over 40 years, that in compared to like other things that are line items that for one budget cycle are like over $270 million.
I understand that, but if we're serious about balancing budgets, every line item matters. This is where it sort of gets lost in the morass, right? This is one little thing. It's part of a big problem with budget.
Keep making your point.
So why do I say that I agree with Tom Tiffany on this? To a degree. I'll give you the caveat later. This is the last numbers I could find. 2022. 390,000 vehicles were checked in the counties affected. 1% failed.
Yeah, which is great. But I think there's also a testament as far as how cars have gotten better and cars themselves have gotten cleaner.
Right.
Right. And without this, are you arguing that we should have never done this, or you think it's time to end it?
I think it's time to end it. And that's where the caveat comes in. But I just want a couple more little points about this. The vehicles that typically have issues are older vehicles.
Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah. Or cars with obviously a broken catalytic converter, or one that was stolen by some knucklehead who then sells it for resale. Poorly maintained vehicles, which gets to my caveat in a second, or people who do tricky things to sort of bypass it, which there's a lot of smart people that know their ways around cars. They can find ways to sort of play around with this. So we're talking about older vehicles, diesel trucks mainly, vehicles who are not maintained properly, or high mileage vehicles. It's pretty rare, but some people like to take their Toyota Camry up to $200,000. God bless you, because you don't want to have a car payment probably, and it's efficient, decent vehicle. But my point is, on all of this stuff, it makes zero sense to check brand new cars with the associated cost, albeit small, admitted, for this stuff. When we could, because most people have routine checks for maintenance, whether it's a $20,000, $40,000, oil change, service work. It could be done at that time to the vehicles while they're already in the shop when it could be done. That makes more sense, and it saves a little bit of money. and stops the headache for all the people who are driving like a 2026, whatever, going in, wasting your time, wasting their time, which everybody's time is money. I'm told every day we're so busy. We're all so busy. And here's the BS part of this. Other than maybe the President of the United States, and even that might be in question, nobody's that busy. You find time, you can prioritize anything if you want to. You just have to have a better idea of your schedule.
It is fun. Is this a big pain point for people? Is this like a voting issue for people?
People in southeastern Wisconsin hate this. The people that I hang with, they hate it.
Something they have to do once every 2 years?
Doesn't matter. It's stupid. You're checking a brand new vehicle for emissions when it's probably as good as it gets. No, I agree.
And this is not me. I agree with the brand new cars and that there's probably a better, more efficient way to do this. But as far as it being like this is going to be like, oh, now I've decided who I'm voting for. I didn't know it was that big of a...
On the scale of things, who you're going to vote for, it's small. But it's a passionate topic. And there's another piece of this I'll get to in a second. But the caveat for me is when people get their vehicles maintained, that's when you check it. Stop making people go in when they're not doing anything else other than get their emissions checked. It also ties up service people in these shops that do the work, one's right by my house, when they could be doing other things, which is more efficient for the business. The caveat that was my caveat. Tom Tiffany is against a program that would help low-income Wisconsinites pay for the repairs. That's not surprising. It's just a little thing that he threw in there.
Let's just get rid of all of it instead of helping the people who need to be able to afford a cleaner car.
I would disagree with Tom Tiffany on that. If you're serious about the environment, you might want to fix the worst offenders. Because what was the number? Oh yeah, 10% of the vehicles contribute 50% of the problems. So those few vehicles that if we could actually fix those, low income or not, actually has a serious impact. The bottom line in all this is the ozone conditions haven't changed much since '84 for this area. And the reason why some experts think that is because this part of the state is not creating the problem. The problem is south of us in a little city called Chicago. And I was being funny with the little. That's where this ozone issue comes from. So something to think about.
Do you think there's a strong argument from Democrats to keep it or not to reform it?
I would be fascinated because I was reading in the Journal Sentinel that some Democrats are opposed to this because they tend to lean green, right? So they don't want anything to change what we've done since '84. And look, I want clean air for not just me, my grandkids, my kids. So I'm not somebody that's just going to throw out the rules, and the idea that we're going to forget about the environment is a dangerous thing, and that's coming from a Republican. So not a fan of that, but let's make it make sense. Like many parts of government, a lot of the stuff we do just doesn't make sense. Do it on a repair call or a maintenance or oil change. That's when you should do it. Little ideas can sometimes gain traction. So if you have one thing that contributed, what I say, $270 million since '84, imagine how many of those things there are.
So I don't understand why it costs, like where the costs
Because
go.
everything you do as a government costs money. The administration, the forms, the tracking, the data analysis, all costs money. You're paying people to do that.
Okay.
That's why.
All right. I think you had some support on this.
I don't doubt it. You have not understood, because you're a younger age group, that this is something that just irritated the hell out of us for a long time.
Is it just because you guys were old enough to remember when you didn't have to do it?
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. We've been around longer. All right. She's Chris and I'm Steve. Point taken.
Hey, Monday and Tuesday can be a real challenge, right? Make it easier with a free dinner at the historic Fox and Hound Supper Club. WTMJ's John Mercure here. I love easy, and I love the Fox and Hounds. It's a top choice award winner for fine dining and most romantic restaurant. Plus, when you buy one dinner, your second dinner is free. Enjoy a choice steak, the twin lobster tails, the braised pork shank. How about ribs, pasta, seafood, even a big, huge, fresh salad? Any entree, your second dinner is free. Dessert and ice cream drinks, I love those. Also, buy one, get one free. Buy two, get two free. Buy for the table. 4 desserts, get 4 free. Relax with a cocktail, over 20 bourbons, 100 wines. Old World Bar is elegant, 8 beautiful dining rooms. Wherever you live, it's worth a beautiful drive through the Kettle Moraine Forest to the Fox and Hounds. Start your week with a free dinner at the award-winning Fox and Hounds, just off Highway 167 near Holy Hill. Tables are open, serving from 4. Dine early at the Fox and Hounds. Are you hosting an event, launching something new, wanting to get the word out about your part of the state? Be a featured guest on the WTMJ Experience Wisconsin show. Share your story, promote your event or business, and connect with fans all across the state. I'm John Merkier. I'd love to interview you. We reach listeners from Milwaukee to Madison, Green Bay to La Crosse, everywhere in between. It's Experience Wisconsin. Ready to shine a spotlight on your business or company? Email me, john@WTMJ.com for more information. john@WTMJ.com.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scavidi here for QC Kinetics. There's nothing more meaningful you can do for yourself, your family, or your friends than finally getting rid of that pain so they can enjoy time with you again, especially heading into vacation season. Let me help you out. QC Kinetics takes care of the pain in their office, and you can go right on with your day. That's easy. So if you answer yes to any of these questions, you are the kind of patient QC Kinetics regenerative treatments help every day. Consistent joint pain in my knees, hips, shoulders, or back. Pain keeps me from getting a good night's sleep. I'm missing work or saying no to activities that I enjoy. I don't want surgery and a long recovery. I'm at the end of my rope taking meds every day to just get through. Did you answer yes to any of those questions? Today could be your day. With locations in Mequon and Greenfield, plus weekend appointments, QC Kinetic treatments are easy, done in the office. You go about your day. The consultation's free, so don't wait. It will be the most meaningful thing you do for yourself and the people who care about you. Schedule your free consultation today. 414-667-5559. That's 414-667-5559. Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scavidi. Have you listened to WTMJ Outdoors yet? Well, what are you waiting for? Every Saturday at 2 right here on 620 WTMJ. Stories of the outdoors of Wisconsin and beyond as we celebrate everything in recreation. This week, we find out about hydroponic farming. Not just a short growing season, but 365 days a year. And we talk to author Mark Kurlansky, To Catch a Fish. Who doesn't want to read that book?
It's WTMJ Outdoors, presented by Outdoor Living Unlimited.
I feel like I talked a lot. Do you have something to say in the next minute to get you all excited, that get me angry or anything like that? What's on your mind today? I feel like you're not with me today.
What do you mean?
I feel like you're distracted. Are you distracted by anything? Is the weather? Yesterday's weather was fantastic, by the way.
The weather today is really nice too. I didn't wear a coat today.
So far. Then we have 4 straight days of rain coming.
Yeah, that's less ideal.
And you're going to be gone Thursday, right? Thursday show? You don't know yet.
I guess I don't know yet. I'm invited to a conference.
I love the fact that you do this stuff because you bring good ideas back.
And so I'm going to go to the Wednesday night portion and feel out how solid, I think, and valuable I think the content will be on Thursday.
Is this for content creators?
I think it'll be kind of a spur-of-the-moment decision. I may be here Thursday, I may not be.
Wow, look at you with the flexible schedule. Maybe I'll have something like that soon. We'll see.
I feel totally justified in this because you have so much vacation.
Yeah.
And when I'm off, I'm usually going and doing more work.
Yeah, you don't vacation. You do more work. It's like, what is that about?
I like my work.
I know you're good at it or great at it, but it's like you got to relax. You got to step away.
Okay.
This is where I discover great topics like emissions testing, which blew up our text because I'm reading and talking to people and hanging out at coffee shops. Anyway.
What coffee shop are you hanging out at?
Neil Doyle, ABC.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. The U.S. Supreme Court ruling in an 8-1 decision in favor of a Christian counselor who offers conversion therapy, the practice that tries to change the sexual orientation of LGBTQ children.
This is a big win, not only for First Amendment advocates, but for really for Christian the Christian groups that had backed Ms. Childs in her Christian-based medical practice in Colorado, which had sought to open the door to a Christian-friendly treatment options for these types of kids.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth set to appear before the House Armed Services Committee on April 29th to discuss the Pentagon's budget request. According to sources familiar with the matter, this will mark the first time House lawmakers will have an opportunity to question Hegseth since the start of the war with Iran. At the Pentagon today, Hegseth insisted U.S. objectives in the war are being met, but he would not give a timeline on ending it. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 1031. I'm Neil Doyle. The jury now seated in the trial of Tremaine Jones, the man accused of killing Milwaukee police officer Kendall Corder and wounding Officer Christopher McCray. 9 men and 5 women were selected for the jury, 2 of them serving as alternates. Both sides delivering their opening statements this morning. The prosecution now calling its list of witnesses to the stand. Jones faces 4 felony charges, including first-degree intentional homicide and attempted homicide in connection to the shooting last summer. If convicted, he could face life in prison. Milwaukee police asking for the public's help to identify 2 men wanted for armed robbery on the city's north side. Police say the men, both in their 20s, showed guns and took property from a person. This happened on March 21st near Hampton. They then fled on foot. You can see photos of the suspect and more details up on our website, WTMJ.com. The man accused of stealing an ambulance while drunk and naked found competent to stand trial. 37-year-old Benjamin Feltz of Stevens Point faces 4 felony charges after EMS workers in Wisconsin Rapids reported that their ambulance was stolen with a patient in the back. This happened last month. According to court documents, Feltz admitted to drinking about a half bottle of Fabuloso floor cleaner before stealing the ambulance and leading police on a high-speed chase. Feltz was removed from the ambulance completely naked. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Everything's still in the green. The Dow is up about 1% at 45,650. The NASDAQ is up over 1% at 21,164. And the S&P 500 is sitting up about 83 points at 6,427. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Take a look at the roads, your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. We're telling you about some of the issues there. 94, the eastbound. We did have a crash a little bit ago. This was near Hawley Road. Was kind of causing some backups. Looks like they've got that clear, so not seeing as many delays there in our construction zone on 94. Do have kind of a smattering of disabled vehicles across other parts of the system, but none of them in traffic causing any issues, so everything else is looking good. Let's take a look at your forecast. We will see a chance for some showers and storms. Some of those have kind of pushed their way out of the area, but still could see some other pop-ups as we move throughout the day. Temperatures will continue to fall. We were in the low 60s to kind of start, but temps will continue to kind of plummet as we move into the afternoon. Tonight, then, mostly cloudy, a low down to 33. Cloudy, cooler conditions on Wednesday. We could maybe see a rain-snow mix late with a high near 40. Rain likely again on Thursday. Windy conditions, a high near 60. And then that rain continuing into Friday with mostly cloudy skies and highs in the mid-50s. Right now, it's 39 degrees in Sheboygan. We're sitting at 56 in Waukesha, and right now 52 degrees in Milwaukee. I'm Neil Doyle, Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 1034.
The proof is in the pudding. Advertisers that hire us stick with us for years and years because they trust us, because we always promptly respond to customer needs, and because bottom line, we get results. Go to Anderson-Smith.com's Our Clients page to see who trusts us and check out a long list of real advertising success. Then hit the Contact Us button, email me, and I'll call you in short order. Because it's time we grew your business. Anderson-Smith.com. What's it going to cost to make it work? Wrong question. What you need to ask is, what do I have to do to make it work? What do I have to say so that I can truly set my business apart? That's why you call us. To make your ad budget give your message affordable repetition, and to relay it in a powerful way to make sure folks remember your business first when their time of need arises. Go to Anderson-Smith.com, email me, and I'll call you ASAP, because it's time we grew your business. Anderson-Smith.com.
You know, you might think that just because your home's windows are leaking air, foggy, or even broken or cracked, that you need to replace your entire window. But I'm here to tell you that just isn't the case. I mean, if the framework of the window is intact and all that needs to be repaired is the glass, then a quick phone call over to Les's Glass can get you a verbal quote. Or we can send an estimator out to your home to show you just how much money we can save you versus replacing your entire window. We remove the old glass, install new glass, and voila! You virtually have a brand new window at a fraction of the cost of full window replacement, along with a full 10-year warranty against seal failure too. So give us a call, because I think we can save you a few bucks. This is Stacy Sinks with Les's Glass Service. If it's a new glass shower door, fogged or broken insulated glass replacement, or affordable glass and mirror home decor that you've been looking for, you just can't pass on Les's Glass. Les's Glass Service, serving all of southeastern Wisconsin. Find us at lesglassservice.com.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristen. He is Steve. And how many bills left are there as far as he has until what, April 2nd?
I think so. There is a time. There's a time limit. Yeah.
As far as what's outstanding that's been passed, that's been sent to him, but yet to be signed. But last week, he signed one bill, vetoed another bill. The one that he signed is fairly controversial, especially controversial as far as there's a fair amount of Democratic-leaning organizations that really advocated for him not to sign this. So what is it? He signed a new definition of anti-Semitism into law. And so what is that definition? It is it's the definition adopted by the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance in 2016 that is now state after state has been adopting this definition, which is anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews which may be expressed as hatred towards Jews. Rhetorical and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism are directed toward Jewish or non-Jewish individuals and or their property, toward Jewish community institutions and religious facilities. So the argument behind this is basically that there needs to be a clearer definition. I don't know if that is clear, but definition of anti-Semitism as institutions investigate discrimination. Now, the argument against this has been the fear that this will impede on free speech specifically and conflate anti-Semitism and criticism towards Israel. And that is the big thing as far as the different groups, including the ACLU, who did not want Evers to sign this. And I saw a lot of criticism over the week of different accounts that I follow of people being very disappointed that this was signed, because in certain places where this is being adopted, we are seeing like any criticism of Israel being labeled as anti-Semitism, which I think is like people who are criticizing the American government versus discriminating against Americans, right? There's a difference between a government and a people.
Right.
And to conflate the two is really dangerous.
Yeah, I would argue to those Democrats you were talking to that last time I checked, Governor Evers represents Democrats in the state of Wisconsin. So, and he's always been, if nothing, a thoughtful leader for Democrats. So put some stock in his willingness to sign this. This issue.
And Democrats are split over this, right?
Yes.
This is, it was a bipartisan bill.
Yeah.
As far as I think the two Jewish lawmakers, like, they supported this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was trying to get to the bottom, and I haven't really figured it out yet, of like how much of this is because of different examples that the IHRA gives as examples versus what is actually happening in practice, and like how much is this about actual criminal investigations versus what schools and campuses are adopting as the definition of what is or is not free speech. I need to learn more about it, of how it's being implemented, to understand if the criticism is like, oh, this is actually what's going to happen.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen with this newly signed legislation. And this is always going to be a hot button topic. One's perception of Israel. Traditionally, Americans overwhelmingly supported the country of Israel and the leadership. That's shifted.
Oh, yeah.
Big time. Even in Republican circles, it's like 50-50 now. And if you're talking about age, even gender to some degree, that's shifted to opposing Israel with a more favorable view of Palestinian rights and some of the other impact in that area. So a lot of this is college campus related, right? So we all saw those stories when Israel responded to the attack on October 7th, 3 years ago, with heavy military campaign, just basically blowing up Gaza, just destroying it, leveling it.
And killing thousands of people.
Yes. That's something that I think shifted the equation, where Jewish, and I just talked to a rabbi on my podcast about a month ago, Rabbi Jacob Herber. There is this notion that, okay, we don't have to necessarily agree with everything the country of Israel does, but when you have one group, Palestinians, who openly teach in their schools across their area in that part of the Middle East that Jewish people should be killed in any.
You've claimed this before, and
I'm not claiming it. I've seen it on 60 Minutes. They've covered the story. They actually teach that.
But I've also seen similar like journalism that shows unbelievable apartheid sentiment in Israel towards Palestinians.
Absolutely.
As far
Also
as
very
you talk
bad.
about the IDF and like what they've done to civilians as far as torturing them,
Also
killing
very
them,
bad.
hitting. There's videos of them hitting children. I think there's a lot of hate that goes both directions.
Absolutely.
That is culturally part of it. So to say it's only one way,
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely not. The problem is historically in that area, conflicts. Whatever your thought and whatever side you're on, and I would argue you should be on both sides because at some point you would hope that this conflict resolves because ultimately innocent people get saved. Children get saved. Children don't get bombed. Children don't get beheaded because that's all part of the story. You have to understand that we have to have some measure of control on even protest because what's happened in some of the campuses, and this is what Rabbi Herbert told me, there was instances where Jewish kids were being attacked, threatened when they went to school. That's where some of these things come from. It is a both sides because we have to understand, one, we have limited knowledge of what happens in that region from our location. And two, we need both sides, Palestinians and who are advocating for a homeland and Israelis who want to be safe. Obviously, that's a belief that everyone wants to have. We have to figure out a way to make that work. The problem is we have politicians there and here trying to sort that out, and they're not good at it.
Well, I think there's two different things. There's obviously the conflict that is happening over there and how that spreads over into the sentiment towards like what's happening with anti-Semitism and the rise of it in the United States for Jewish people who live here. And I think that there is a fairly strong argument that as the critique of Israel rises, it is, and the actions that they're taking. I mean, there's like 1 million people in Lebanon who are displaced now.
Yeah,
and
not good.
The actions that the government there is taking, because people are bad at separating a government and a government's actions with a group of people, those actions are in turn igniting more anti-Semitism. And that, I'm not saying that that is a justification. I'm saying that it is all related right now, but that it's our inability to separate those two things, which I think is part of the core problem.
Yeah. I would argue that this legislation that the governor signed, who last time I checked, a Democrat, is trying to calm a tense situation in this country, whether it's a college campus, whether it's a city street, and having an intelligent civil debate on a very serious issue. That's the point of view I would take on the governor signing this. And he's a Democrat. I don't have to agree with him. I just think he's understanding that this is a complex problem, but we have to tone down the rhetoric here. Otherwise, we're going to bring that same level of hostility, conflict, violence to our soil. That's not going to make anybody in Palestine, anybody in Gaza, rather, anybody in Jerusalem or Israel any safer if we make it just as bad here. And I think that's what this legislation tries to do. I talked to a Muslim member of our work staff, teammate. They talked to the governor and said, veto this. He didn't listen. But I also told our teammate, if you're passionate about this, it's not the end of the story. Continue to make your case.
Well, I think it's like in the first case of where this new definition infringes on free speech.
There will be lawsuits. That's where the ACLU will probably say, hey, that's not fair. And that's why we have courts. This is an incredibly important topic. Again, if a Democrat challenges anyone on it, I'd say the governor is a Democrat. Last time I checked, he signed it. And there's a reason. I gave you my reason why I think he signed it. We're late for break. Thanks for hanging out on this Tuesday.
Oh, geez.
You can search for the biggest bat selection, but I'm here to save you time because the best baseball and softball bat selection in the Midwest is right here at Burkhardt Sporting Goods. We stock just about every bat on the market from all the top manufacturers like Easton, DeMarini, Louisville Slugger, Marucci, and more, and sell them all at the guaranteed lowest prices. So get in here and try a few out in our indoor batting cages. There's no need to look any further because when it comes to bats, if you want it, we got it at Burkhardt Sporting Goods.
You can't beat Burkhardt.
When you run a team, you want great uniforms, and you know selling spirit wear is vital. That's why Burkhardt Sporting Goods will create a free custom website for you to sell your families and players the coolest spirit wear from Nike and Under Armour, as well as the basics, while helping you fundraise at the same time. We take the hassle out of coordinating your team's apparel and make shopping and buying easy. So when you need awesome spirit wear and uniforms for your organization, you can't beat Burkhardt.
You can't beat Burkhardt.
Lake Geneva is the Midwest's premier golf destination featuring breathtaking views, crystal clear lakes, and rolling fairways. Treat yourself to an all-inclusive golf getaway with courses designed for all skill levels, luxurious lodging, distinctive dining, and a relaxing spa. Plan a Lake Geneva group golf outing, a corporate event, or a weekend getaway with friends or family. Their pros will help you plan a memorable golf experience. For info on courses and more, visit lakegeneva.com today. Lake Geneva, it's always been the place for legendary golf.
Hi, it's David Nason from The Fix-It Show on WTMJ. Every Saturday morning, we talk about keeping your home in top shape. One issue I hear all the time, wet basements and foundation problems.
And that's where Accurate Basement Repair comes in. I'm Chris Mancuso, and for over 20 years, we've been The Fix-It Show's trusted experts in foundation repair and waterproofing.
Don't wait until the problem gets worse. Visit AccurateBasementRepair.com.
Accurate Basement Repair.
We're not just good, we're accurate. Catch Accurate Basement Repair on The Fix-It Show and WTMJ.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-979-3535. That's 800-979-3535. 800-979-3535.
Find furniture for life from Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee.
Let's hope so. Somebody asked, so I've kind of just run through a couple other things that the governor recently signed. He signed Assembly Bill 180 that supports food assistance for 700,000 residents aimed at reducing some penalties that they had to pay for payment errors. And that sugar thing was part of that as well, which we talked about.
Banning the ability to use
candy, soda,
food share benefits. Yeah.
Yeah. This is another big one, and I wasn't aware of it, so I was reading some stuff on it this morning. Workers' compensation increase signed a bipartisan bill, so congrats, both sides worked on it and supported it, provided their first increase in a decade for permanently disabled workers. So
that's great.
So that's, as much as we like to, pin or put one side against it, they do actually do some bipartisan work on it on occasion. So good job there. There's some stuff about highway and safety projects as far as the design build. It's more about caps and trying to be more efficient in how they finance some of the the big infrastructure projects, which is always good to be more efficient. The other one that we could probably do a whole segment on this or whole interview. Children and safety. They signed legislation defining child grooming for sexual activity as a crime, strengthening penalties. So I'm not sure it was bipartisan, but that was a push.
I feel like that was a story when the Cap Times first broke that story.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was like 2 weeks if it was such a big deal and so much outrage. And then this is good. I mean, this was an improvement that came out of that story. But I don't know if we've heard much more about the licensing, the tracking, anything that else that's changed as far as the Department of Public Instructions, asking for, these are the things that we would need to be able to do this better.
Yeah.
And where that.
That's like a TBD, right? They're going to sort of figure out.
Or did everyone just forget and move on?
Well, there was a recent case, I think it was in Madison, another.
It was.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah, that was not great.
So that problem, unfortunately, is not going to go away. So strengthening the laws, sure, but let's see how that plays out with enforcement and certainly the communication piece, which was a big part of our earlier conversations. And then there's some school stuff that we're going to talk about with Celeste Morgan from City Forward Collective in the after the bottom of the hour at 11 o'clock hour. So, right? Yeah,
Yes.
11:30.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good stuff today. Good first hour. We got one more segment to do. Who knows what we're going to talk about? We're all over the place today.
You're just pulling things out of your
Hats. Quick break.
How are things at Kessler's Greenfield, Kelly?
Fantastic. I heard you have an idea for springtime.
I love spring.
I have a big collection of new life to show you.
New life is a spring thing.
Show us. I call it crosses and clovers.
These are amazing.
Well done, Kelly.
These are stunningly unique.
Kelly, the surface of this 4-leaf clover is fantastic. What's it made of?
Sarah, the surface of that lucky 4-leaf clover is made of crushed black diamonds.
Wow. I'm buying this one. How much?
$185. In yellow gold vermeil, it's just $270. This cross? $90.
And these initials pendants?
These are $60.
Clovers, crosses, and personalized pendants.
And a leprechaun that says they're magically delicious.
Sarah, that's a breakfast cereal.
Kelly, you've done well.
Extremely well.
Extremely very well. Happy springtime, everyone.
To find the Kesslers nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
At Redo Cabinets, we know the kitchen is the heart of the home. It's the place that design and function matter most. Mark Olson here. Redo Cabinets wants to transform your kitchen into your vision without the mess, the stress, or the cost of a full kitchen remodel with cabinet refacing. During our spring sales event, learn all about refacing, premium cabinet products, and plenty of options for color, hardware, style, and accessories. And now get a free premium countertop with every refacing project, or payments that start as low as $195 a month. Call today and book a free, no obligation consultation. Redo Cabinets, 414-677-6417. 414-677-6417. That's 414-677-6417. Or visit us at redocabinets.com. That's redocabinets.com. Serving homeowners for over 70 years in Illinois and Wisconsin. Don't replace, reface with Redo Cabinets.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here for Shopco Optical. Start the new year right. Use your vision benefits and schedule your annual comprehensive eye exam. You check out new frame styles and order your annual supply of contact lenses all in one place. Shopco Optical is committed to quality eye care and will create personalized vision solutions tailored to your specific vision and lifestyle needs. New year, new you, new style. Call Shopco Optical or visit shopco.com to schedule an appointment at a location nearest you.
Get started with your no-hassle refi checkup by clicking on the blue button at Accunet.com.
Brew Crew Tuesdays are back on March 31st.
Curio sends it deep to left, and there she goes.
Catch the Brewers on local TV as they battle the Tampa Bay Rays.
And Yelich launches one deep right center field. Forget about it. Oh, my goodness. Third deck.
This edition of Brew Crew Tuesdays is presented by Delta Dental of Wisconsin. Tune in March 31st at 6:40 on Fox 6 in Milwaukee or check your local listings to watch the game.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee. From the Annex Wealth Management Studios, this is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Texter says you're keeping me on my toes today.
It's good.
I feel like you keep me on my toes most days. Do I keep you on your toes?
Absolutely, which is the point of having Point Taken, because we do that to each other, for each other.
I feel like today was a lot of, would have been a good day for people to be watching on the YouTube.
Yes.
There was a lot of me looking at you
Like
of like, where
weirdly?
is this going? Where are we going, Steve? But yes, if you would like to follow us on YouTube, it's a very fun viewing experience. And so if you text WATCH to 855-616-1620, and then if you subscribe to the WTMJ YouTube channel, you'll get alerted when Steve and I are ready to roll.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
You can see outfit choices, good and bad hair days.
Yeah, well, you don't have many bad. Well, you had a bad one Friday.
It was literally just in a ponytail.
It was like a bun, though, a bunnish kind of a thing.
I've done that before.
Yeah.
I don't know why it bothered you so
Steve
much.
Rule number 105, not a fan of buns on men or women. Never liked it. Don't like the look, especially men. What are you doing? Come on,
What do you mean you don't like buns on women?
Yeah, I just don't like that look where it's all like in a little ball on top of your head. It just looks dumb.
Well,
I know it's efficient, but
it is. Yes, it is. I'm not going to do my hair every single day.
You got such lovely hair, though. Why mess that up?
It's a lot of work.
I can imagine. I get mad when my hair gets long. Look at what you got going on there. That's a lot of hair to deal with.
Still the best line. Hey, Medusa, did you cut that hair yet?
Your vacuum must work overtime with all that hair.
Yeah. Between our dog and my hair, there's a lot of hair.
And also, you can comment on YouTube, too, which we're going to start paying closer attention to. That's on our to-do list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that we don't try to ignore people, but we got a lot going on here. It's a very unique show.
All right, what do we got next hour?
Colessa Morgan's coming up at 11:30, and we're going to have a great conversation, talk about serious conversations. John Diedrich from your place of
Milwaukee
work.
Journal-Sentinel.
Has been doing a lot of great stories and series over the years on gun violence. He turned me on to our next guest. This is like an initial conversation of like 3 future conversations on the show. He's Michael Bradley Siegel. He's professor at Department of Public Health and Community Medicine, Tufts University. But he's talking about gun violence, what we can actually accomplish on gun violence when we talk to both sides together. And it's innovative. It's a great idea. He's going to join.
C-word.
Consensus. Love it. And the first thing I said to him when I talked to him last week on sort of a pre-call, got to drop the C-word on you. And we both laughed. Consensus. We're going to talk about what gun rights advocates and people who say ban all guns might have in common, actually. So we're going to get to that. And then Colessa Morgan, always great on education, including some of the things happening at the state level. We are late for news.
Very late.
Which is a rarity on this show because we are clock watchers. More me than you. Kristen, Steve, point taken. News next.
Who doesn't need a seasonal wardrobe update? But who has the cash to always keep their wardrobe updated? Ladies, that's why you shop St. Vincent de Paul. Our women's clothing is always a highlight of our stores, and thrift store prices keep the costs low. It allows you to experiment and also find a hidden gem. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
For those with a warm weather fashion, try St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores because that's where you'll find a vast array of men's, women's, girls, and boys' warm weather apparel at the friendliest prices. So many choices and at such a value. You can fill the closet without draining your wallet. Shop warm weather fashions at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life, rejuvenate.
So it's all too common of a story, and it's common enough that we account for a certain percentage of our new patients to make their first appointment and get cold feet. They put it off. I'm not sure why, because our physicians are offering legitimate medical pain relief treatment. The combination of hyaluronic acid and Toradol cushions joints and has an extremely powerful effect in reducing inflammation. So much so that a vast majority of Rejuvenex patients report a significant improvement with their pain. I guess it's human nature, but sometimes human nature keeps us in our comfort zone, even when it means remaining living in pain. So after you make your appointment to alleviate your pain, and that little voice tries to convince you to put it off, don't, because your pain problems can be solved, and you can live a better life.
Rejuvenate. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Call today, and there's a good chance we could be seeing you tomorrow.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here for Tri-County Contracting. Have you ever thought to yourself, I want my house to look better than it does. I just don't know where to even start or even what to do. Tri-County Contracting can help you with that. They can help you love your home again. They have the design consultants, they've got the showroom, they've got real picture renderings, they've got it all to help turn your home back into your dream home. Tri-County Contracting, WI.com. Love your home again with Tri-County Contracting.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and newnordicusa.com or your local CVS.
A new deck from Outdoor Living Unlimited is built to last. We are Wisconsin's #1 TimberTech deck installation team. For amazing ideas, go to Outdoor Living Unlimited's Instagram page. For a free estimate, go to outdoorlivingunlimited.com.
The place you want to go. Lynch McWanago.
Nobody sells for less than Lynch.
Let the rays bring the sunshine. We'll bring the fireworks.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. Yelich, a high drive, deep right, down the line, fair, and gone!
The Brewers look to shut down the Tampa Bay Rays and light up the sky at American Family Field. Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 6:05. We are the home of the Brewers. 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
Just after 11 o'clock, it's 52 degrees and a WTMJ Fleet Farm storm team alert. A severe thunderstorm warning issued for parts of Kenosha, Racine, and Walworth counties. That's until 11:30 this morning. So for the next half hour, we're seeing these showers and storms continue to push across parts of the area. That will continue throughout the day. Again, highs sitting in the mid to upper 50s. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Neil Doyle. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled against Colorado's ban on conversion therapy for LGBTQ plus kids. More from CBS News correspondent Michael Wallace.
In an 8-1 ruling, the court sided with a Christian counselor who argues the ban violates the First Amendment. She wants to offer voluntary faith-based therapy for kids, but says the state law won't let her do that. Colorado says its law does allow for conversations about gender identity and sexual orientation, just not the use of therapy to convert LGBTQ plus kids to heterosexuality.
Today's ruling does not overturn Colorado's ban outright. It sends it back to lower courts for review. Testimony underway in the trial of Tremaine Jones, the man accused of killing Milwaukee police officer Kendall Corder. 9 men and 5 women were selected for the jury this morning, 2 of them serving as alternates, both sides also delivering their opening statements. The prosecution now calling its list of witnesses to the stand. Jones faces 4 felony charges, including first-degree intentional homicide and attempted homicide in connection to the shooting last summer. If convicted, he could face life in prison. The city of Milwaukee is under a mandate by the state to grow its police force, but an unexpected barrier is impacting recruiting.
The physical fitness test, which roughly 25% of applicants fail.
18 push-ups, 24 sit-ups, and then they need to run 1.5 miles in 20 minutes and 20 seconds.
Instead of abolishing or lowering the standards, MMAC Senior Advisor Tim Sheehy believes training should be involved.
Let's have some pre-academy class to get people up to the standards and see if we can't go that route versus dropping the standards, because I'm not sure where that sends us.
Greg Matzik, WTMJ News.
As part of Act 12, MPD is tasked with growing its police force from roughly 1,600 officers to just over 1,700 by 2034. Time for news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Everything in the green and all 3 major indexes up over 1%. The Dow sitting at 45,700, the NASDAQ at 21,170, and the S&P 500 is at 6,430. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:04.
You probably don't have to replace those windows. If the frames are intact and it's just the glass that's cracked, or it's foggy, replacing thermal window panes with the help of Less's Glass will save you the cost of total window replacement. When you want to know how much we can save you, all you have to do is measure the height and width of just the glass portion of the window panes. Then send us an email to info@lessglassservice.com and we'll get you an estimate right away. Just be sure to specify if you'd like us to come out and replace your window pane on site, or if you'd like to do it in the most cost-effective way possible by bringing the windows into our shop. Either way, you're saving a lot of money versus a total window replacement that you probably don't need. This is Stacy Sinks with Less's Glass Service. If it's a new glass shower door, fogged or broken insulated glass replacement, or affordable glass and mirror home decor that you've been looking for, you just can't pass on Less's Glass. Less's Glass Service, serving all of southeastern Wisconsin. Find us at lessglassservice.com.
Hi, this is John Neal, CPA and founder of the Neal Group and best-selling author on how to have less stress with the IRS. If 2025 didn't go exactly as planned, you're not alone. You made it through, and that's what counts. Now it's time for taxes, and for a lot of people, that's when the stress kicks in, especially if things got messy along the way. The good news, a rough year doesn't mean a ruined future. We helped Nate fix a tax mess with the IRS caused by one of those national firms and saved him $103,000 in penalties, plus another $152,000 in taxes because we know the tax law. Imagine walking into tax season with a clear plan and someone in your corner who knows the tax law and knows how to use it. You earned it. We help you keep it. Call us now at 414-325-2040 to arrange a meeting to see how we can help you. Don't wait. Call now. That's 414-325-2040 or visit nealgroup.net.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all sports desk. Brewers continuing their series with the Rays tonight, but coming off a loss in Game 1, they fell 3-2 at American Family Field. Brandon Woodruff will be making his first start of the season. Manager Pat Murphy on Wisconsin's Morning News.
He's the one veteran we have on our starting staff, and he sets the tone. So it'll be good to get him back out here. He's actually on track earlier than we thought. We didn't think we'd have him until maybe 10 or 15 days from now, but he was chomping at the bit to go. We're excited to have him back out there.
Again, all of our coverage for Game 2 of the series between the Brewers and Rays, that starts at 6:05 tonight here on WTMJ. Bucks are trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. They'll be at home tonight against the Mavericks. Coverage of that game at 6:30. You can hear it on our sister station, 94.5 ESPN. Let's take a look at the roads. Your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. Got some issues 4194 southbound. This is right at Ryan Road. The ramp from Ryan Road is actually closed. There was a vehicle fire in that area. Looks like the fire is out, but crews are still on the scene, so that is causing some backups. Again, 4194 southbound, right at Ryan Road. You will start tapping the brakes there until you kind of get past Oakwood. Otherwise, rest of the system, everything else is looking okay. And your forecast, again, a WTMJ Fleet Farm Storm Team alert. Severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for Kenosha, Racine, and Walworth counties. That is in effect until about 11:30 this morning. Continuing to see some of these showers and storms move across the area. That will continue as we move throughout the day. Temperatures will continue to fall as well. We were in the low 60s early, but those temps, again, will drop as we move into the afternoon. Tonight, then, mostly cloudy, a low down to 33. Cloudy and cool conditions Wednesday. We could maybe see a chance for a rain-snow mix with a high near 40. And then rain likely, and that will be the case. We'll see showers kind of as we move through the week. Rain on Thursday with highs in the low 60s. Right now, it's 57 degrees in Madison, sitting at 56 in Kenosha, and it's 53 degrees in Milwaukee. I'm Neil Doyle, Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:09.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scafidi and Kristen Bry.
Well, welcome back to the 11 o'clock hour. I'm Kristen, he is Steve, and I've talked about this a fair amount since we first did it, but John Dietrich, investigative reporter over at Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, he's been doing a multi-year project called Behind the Gun, and we did an event in Wausau talking about the gun ownership community and their input and their thoughts when it comes to gun policy, because it kind of like struck a chord with me when I was there. As I mean, technically we're a gun owner because Mike owns guns, but not a gun girly. It makes a lot of sense as far as when you think about policy, that people who actually own guns need to be part of the conversation. And so often the two groups have been so polarized that finding the C word consensus between the anti-gun folks and the Second Amendment folks has been hard to do. Well, there's an organization called Bridging the Divide on Firearm Policy that are bringing those two groups of people together. And our guest now is the lead on the project, Dr. Michael Siegel. Welcome to the show, Doctor.
Thank you so much for having me.
So we talked last week, I told Kristen I wanted to do this story because as somebody who was a mayor during a mass shooting, I had a lot of involvement in the national conversation about it, went to the White House, went to Congress. I thought it was important that we continue the conversation, and you and I talked last week, as I said, you're doing something innovative when it comes to bringing, as Kristen said, bridging that divide between those two groups who often don't like talking to each other, want to throw barbs at each other. I guess for me, how did that start for you? Where did you say, this is where we got to go?
Well, I really started realizing my own ignorance about guns. I had never held a gun, didn't know the different types of guns. Yet here I was trying to formulate policies on this issue, and I realized I had to learn something. You can't regulate a product of any kind unless you really know what it is. So I started educating myself and kind of immersed myself in the gun owning community. I went shooting for the first time, and I realized that we need gun owners at the table to be able to develop the most effective policies, because they're the ones who know how the process works. We need gun dealers at the table because they know how sales work. We need gun owners to tell us about storage and what works and what doesn't work for them. And so that's really the impetus that led to this idea of let's bring gun owners to the table. Let's get both groups together and see if we can find some common ground.
Doctor, how hard was it to get people to come to the table? Because I feel like the little bit I know about this issue is like a lot of trust has been lost when it comes to this issue specifically. And so in trying to recruit gun owners, gun shop owners, did you get a lot of no's?
No, surprisingly, I didn't. And I think that part of the reason was that I spent 2 years really trying to build trust in the gun owning community. I did some podcasts, kind of spent some time with gun owners, talking to gun rights groups, and I think that helped to develop some trust. But the biggest thing is that everybody wants to do something about this problem. And I think that when I spoke to gun owners and said, hey, look, all we're trying to do here is trying to reduce the deaths from gun related harms. They were happy to join, and I think the biggest thing is that they're not usually at the table. So I think that just the fact that this quote anti-gun researcher was inviting them to come to the table, I think they were more than happy to take part.
When we talked last week, sort of for background on today's conversation, you told me about a great icebreaker that you did with the group. Tell them about it.
Yeah, so when we got together, we got together for an in-person weekend-long conference to try to, hash out all these policies. The very first thing we did on the Friday night is we took everyone to a shooting range, and the gun owners basically spent, about an hour teaching the non-gun owners, first going over all the safety rules, but then, helping us to shoot and, being in the lanes with us and kind of one-on-one giving us instructions. And it was a great icebreaker. And I think for the non-gun owners, it really, for many of us, it kind of showed us how, it gave us a little taste of gun culture. And, rather than thinking of guns simply as, a form of violence, we saw that this is kind of fun. We enjoyed it. And so I think that was an important icebreaker to kind of get to know each other as people, and not just as, our positions on one side or the other.
How was your aim?
Not too good the first time. I shoot high, I can tell you that.
All right, well, practice makes perfect.
Both eyes open or one eye open?
It probably doesn't matter for me.
Dr. Michael Siegel joining us from Tufts University. He's working on a really important project called Bridging the Divide on Firearm Policy. There's some ideas and consensus that you were actually able to glean from this group of, I think, 23 panelists. And just looking ahead, at some point, we're going to bring some panelists on the show to talk about that back and forth. But there's some shared ideas that you came out of these conversations with. We're going to get to that with our guest, Dr. Michael Siegel, after this break, all-important break on Point Taken on 620 WTMJ.
The second you hear this,
fly ball left center.
You know exactly who it is.
Strong is on the move. He's running out of room. It's gone!
Brewers play-by-play man Jeff Levering, and he's our Brewers 360 guest every Wednesday at 8:45 on Wisconsin's Morning News.
Being at the ballpark the last couple of days and seeing the bunting, it's baseball season.
Brewers 360 is sponsored by Outdoor Living Unlimited, Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Cannon and Dumphy, and Ridgetop Exteriors.
Hey, it's WTMJ Steve Scafidi from Milwaukee Weight Loss. Do you know what's the secret, by the way, to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day? At Milwaukee Weight Loss, they know the secret. Their doctor developed easy-to-follow, I did it, you can do it, weight loss program. It helps you lose weight fast, naturally, safely, with no drugs or injections, none of the serious side effects, no prepackaged meals, bars, shakes, none of that stuff. If you walk, that's great, but you don't have to exercise, harder than you want to. Their program helps reset your metabolism. That's the key. So I've been months away from the reduction phase, but I kept the weight off and continue to lose weight because I actually pay attention to the great ideas in the program. Here's the kicker. It costs up to half as much and works up to twice as fast as most of the other programs. Go to MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com, schedule your free consultation. It's a great way. I lost 50 pounds in the last year. Many patients, 20 to 30 pounds. It's not that hard to do, but you got to pay attention. You got to listen to your great coaches at Milwaukee Weight Loss, but you can do it. And here, by the way, here's a kicker as well. $200 off spring special. Want to lose a pound a day? Book your free consultation now. MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. That's MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com.
When it's time to explore assisted living, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. That's why we partnered with the American Seniors Housing Association to promote whereyouLiveMatters.org. I'm Mike from the Wisconsin Assisted Living Association. For over 30 years, our organization of more than 2,000 facility members has led through advocacy, education, and support to help advance quality care. That's why Wisconsin families trust WALA. When it's time to search for assisted living for yourself or a loved one, visit whereyouLiveMatters.org.
Point taken. We are talking to Dr. Michael Siegel, lead on the project called Bridging the Divide on Firearm Policy. And so, Dr. Siegel, what are some of the things you've accomplished with this group so far of bringing both Second Amendment folks and anti-gun, I don't know if that's the best term for them or not, but people from both sides of the spectrum together? What have you guys been able to accomplish thus far?
Well, there were a couple things that were, I think, really surprising to everyone. The first is that there is a considerable amount of common ground. The things we agreed on were actually greater than the things we disagreed on. And second of all, we found that we were able to craft an effective set of policies that did not interfere with gun rights, that actually protected gun rights, and in some cases actually expanded gun rights. And so we were able to create a win-win situation. I think a lot of people look at this as kind of a zero-sum game that, one side's going to win, the other's going to lose. And, I don't think that has to be the case. Based on our research, we found that there's a lot of areas where there are regulations that are essentially not really protecting public safety, but they are putting a burden on gun owners or interfering with gun rights. And so we actually found that we can kind of accomplish both aims at the same time, protect public health and protect gun rights. They're not mutually exclusive.
Did your panelists agree that we do have a gun violence problem in this country, or were there some individuals who were saying, you know what, it's not the guns, it's the people, that the argument that I used to get hit with all the time?
Well, everybody, everybody who came onto this panel was, believes that there's a problem. Nobody said, this is an issue. I think that where there is a philosophical divide between many in the gun rights movement and the gun violence prevention movement is the idea of whether we need to regulate the gun or whether we need to regulate the person who owns the gun or uses the gun. And we went into this project. I basically went into the project and said, this is the philosophy we're going to use. And basically the way I summarized it is, instead of taking away some guns from all people, we're going to take away all guns from some people. And that was kind of the principle that I set out at the beginning that we were going to follow, because I found that is really, we tried to laser focus in on what can we do to save lives with minimally interfering with gun owners. And the idea of focusing on the weapon itself really didn't make a lot of sense, and there's not a lot of evidence that works. So we focused on making sure that people who are at high risk for violence don't get their hands on guns.
So you came up with 8 policy proposals that received support from at least 20 of the 23 panelists. Can you outline some of those 8 policy proposals?
Yeah, so we have, the first proposal is basically deals with the prohibitors. What should be the prohibitors for gun possession? And we took kind of a novel approach there that I haven't heard used before. which is that we kind of had a trade-off, and we said, well, right now, if somebody commits any felony, they can't own a gun, even if it's nonviolent. And on the other hand, you can commit a violent misdemeanor and get a gun no problem. So we kind of compromised, and we said, well, what if we say, if you're a nonviolent felon, you're really not at risk, and so we don't need to take away your Second Amendment rights. But on the other hand, if you're a violent offender and you have committed a crime and it just happens to be prosecuted as a misdemeanor, that you probably shouldn't have a gun. So we kind of traded off nonviolent felonies with violent misdemeanors. That's just one example of the kind of trade-offs. We also have policies on doing background checks, and for that we have an automated approval system. Doesn't involve a gun registry. That was the main concern gun owners had. We have a red flag law that focuses on the person and not just the gun. The person has a mental health, gets actually a free mental health exam. The philosophy of the group was that if somebody is a serious enough risk that we have to take away their gun, then we need to offer them mental health support as well. And just to list the other policies, we have one is on safe gun storage and safe gun staging. We have a suicide prevention proposal that allows people in times of crisis to transfer firearms without, risk of being charged with a break in the law. We have a community violence program that funds community violence intervention programs. And then finally, we have a dealer regulation proposal that focuses on the small percentage of dealers who sell crime guns rather than just making restrictions on every single gun dealer, the overwhelming majority of whom are not a problem.
I can tell as I talked to you last week, and I've heard you today, it's the difference between just passion overruling common sense when you have these conversations and smart people, real people getting together and talking these things through. What's been the response from lawmakers? Because policy is one thing, but actually changing the laws, putting measures in place that do keep people safer in our communities. What's been the reaction so far?
So far, the reaction has been very positive. Lawmakers on both sides really want to be able to do something, but on one side, I think there's too much of an emphasis on let's take guns away, let's ban assault weapons, and on the other side, there's a reluctance to do things because there's a fear that they're going to get their constituents are going to go be up in arms about this. But what we found is that with this compromise and with having, a balanced policy that really focuses in on the effectiveness of the policy and not on taking away gun rights, legislators, so far on both sides have been eager. They've been intrigued about the possibility of being able to do something that in some ways, increases the protection for gun rights, and it gives them a way of going back to their constituents and saying, no, I'm not trading away gun rights. This is a win-win proposition.
I love the energy here, and I love the passion. As I said before, this is going to be a multi-show conversation. You're going to bring some of these panelists on at some point.
That'd be great.
I'm going to love to hear the feedback as we sort of talk through these things. So thanks for joining us, Dr. Michael Siegel from Tufts University, working on this great project. Real work being done, bridging the divide on firearm policy. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks so much for having me, and happy to talk anytime, and we'll get some panelists to talk with you as well.
I love it, and keep up the good work. We're going to take a quick break here. Lots of show left. We got a great conversation coming up with Colestin Morgan from City Forward Collective. All things ahead of us on Point Taken on 620 WTMJ.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-265-7681. 800-265-7681. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-265-7681.
Are you looking for a welcoming place to unwind? Vince Vitrano here. Our family found a home at Racine Country Club. Premier golf on the historic championship course, rolling terrain, famously fast greens, tight fairways, and scenic Root River views. Work your game year-round with indoor simulators, hitting bays, top-notch practice facilities, and leagues for every level. Plus, at Racine Country Club, you enjoy elevated dining, swimming, and a full calendar of family-friendly events. Join me on the course at Racine Country Club, racinecountryclub.com.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Chief Homebuyer Helper Brian Wickert. One of our senior loan consultants recently helped their first-time homebuyer client win over 13 other offers. Of course, it was a team effort with their buyer's agent, and it centered around helping our clients understand what little difference there was to their monthly payment to offer over the asking price. And again, what little difference it would make to give the sellers peace of mind that they'd still buy even if the appraisal came in up to $20,000 short. But that's not all. Our consultant also texted and called the listing agent to reinforce how well qualified our buyers were and that they could, in fact, still close even if the appraisal came in low. Your Accunet consultant will help you understand your options so you can decide how aggressive you want to be. Then we do everything possible to help you win. Don't let someone else end up sleeping in your dream home. Know your options and get your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval by clicking on the blue button at Accunet.com. That's ACCUNET.com.
Want to stay up to date with the crew?
Yelich, a high drive, deep right, down the line, fair, and gone!
Tune in to Brewers Extra Innings with Dominic Cotroneo after every game.
Just thought this team was better than last year's team, both on paper and how they performed. I just like what this organization has done with the offseason.
Or listen anytime on the Brewers All Access podcast feed. We are your home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I'm Kristen Husty. We were just talking to Dr. Michael Siegel, who's the lead of the project, Bridging the Divide on Firearm Policy. I love projects like this. I know there's an organization called Builders that did something similar in Wisconsin on abortion policy, and one of the policies that came out of that group was what just got passed, the expanding Medicaid for postpartum to a full year instead of just 60 days.
I love people to have real conversations and then sort of work with the opposing sides, in this case on guns, and then work with lawmakers to sort of advance the ideas that came from consensus, not conflict. That's the only way this stuff gets solved.
Well, it's also the fact, this was one of the things that John Dietrich and I were talking about, is like, you know, if you have swings in, like trifectas happening at the state level, right, where it's either all Republicans or then all Democrats. And, you know, there's this impulse to push through as much legislation as you can when you have control of all three chambers, but then you risk the fact that, like, once you lose power, they may just change everything back. And so if you can actually build consensus on these kinds of hot button issues and build policy that will actually last no matter who's in power because they're popular and because they work, that, my friend, is good government.
Do you think most lawmakers, let's just focus on Wisconsin, are interested in consensus? What's your thoughts on that? Half of them?
I think so. I
hope so.
I hope so. I don't know. Sometimes I get very motivated and like inspired by some of these people, and then sometimes I'm just like,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Those are the days when I say all politics is stupid. All right, we got a great segment every 2 weeks. Forward Thinking, Coleston Morgan, City Forward Collective. Talk about smart guys, local nonprofit working to ensure there's a great Milwaukee school for every Milwaukee family. There's been some state news. We'll get to that. And it's a great way to sort of discuss education in the environment of a show where we try to bring up things that are hot button topics, but actually trying to move the conversation forward. So don't miss it. That's coming up after the news break. You still don't know if you're off Thursday because someone asked me, like, you don't know yet. You'll know tomorrow. There must be people that look forward to you being... Anyway, we got to get to ABC.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. As America marks its 250th celebration this year, President Trump announcing Britain's King Charles and Queen Camilla will travel to the U.S. later this month for a state visit.
President Trump announced that King Charles and Queen Camilla will visit the U.S. April 27th through the 30th for what he's calling an historic state visit. The president said the trip will include a banquet dinner at the White House on the evening of April 28th. In a social media post, the president says the trip will be, quote, even more special this year, with the U.S. celebrating its 250th anniversary. He says he looks forward to spending time with the king, whom he greatly respects. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
President Trump, in an interview with the New York Post today, says he believes the Strait of Hormuz will, quote, automatically reopen when the U.S. military exits. He also signaled that might not be too much longer, suggesting regime change has happened in Iran. Gas prices, meantime, continuing to soar in the U.S., over $4 a gallon since the start of the war. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:31. I'm Neil Doyle. Testimony underway in the trial of Tremaine Jones, the man accused of killing Milwaukee police officer Kendall Corder. 9 men and 5 women were selected for the jury, both sides delivering opening statements this morning. The prosecution now calling witnesses to the stand. Jones faces 4 felony charges, including first-degree intentional homicide and attempted homicide in connection to the shooting last summer. If convicted, he could face life in prison. Milwaukee police also asking for the public's help for 2 men who are wanted for armed robbery on the city's north side. Police say the men, both in their 20s, showed guns and then took property from a person. Happened on March 21st. This was near Teutonia and Hampton. Authorities say they then fled on foot. You can see photos, more details up on our website, WTMJ.com. Some Republican lawmakers pushing to eliminate vehicle emissions testing in the Badger State. Congressman and gubernatorial candidate Tom Tiffany says he plans to work with the EPA to secure a waiver that would end Wisconsin's emissions testing requirement. State Representative Bob Donovan also argues the program is outdated since today's vehicles are cleaner and more efficient. They also say it puts a financial burden on low-income residents. Emissions testing is required in 7 counties in the southeastern part of the state. Time for news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Everything's still in the green, and all 3 indexes, major indexes, up over 1% still. The Dow sitting at 45,740, the NASDAQ at 21,230, and the S&P 500 is at 6,440. Financial planning at every level: Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Let's take a look at the roads. Your WTMJ Time Saver traffic still dealing with some issues here. 4194 southbound. This is right near Ryan Road. There was a vehicle fire earlier. That fire is out, but there are crews still on the scene trying to get that vehicle out of there. So part of the shoulder is closed there. That is causing delays. You're going to start backing up as you hit Drexel, and then that starts to ease up once you get past Oakwood. So again, that's 4194 southbound right near Ryan Road. Otherwise, rest of the system, everything else is looking good. Your forecast, again, a WTMJ Fleet Farm Storm Team alert just expiring. We did have that severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Kenosha, Racine, Walworth counties. That has expired, but again, we will still see some of these storms move through the area as we continue throughout the day. Temperatures will continue to fall as well. We saw highs in the low 60s, but again, those temps starting to drop as we move into the afternoon. Tonight, then, mostly cloudy, a low down to 33. Heading into Wednesday, will be cloudy, cooler. Could maybe see a rain-snow mix tomorrow, a high near 40. And then that rain will continue as we move through the week. Thursday, showers likely with highs in the low 60s. Right now, it is 42 degrees in Sheboygan. We're sitting at 55 degrees in Waukesha, and it's 53 degrees in Milwaukee. I'm Neil Doyle, Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:34.
3 generations ago, it was about doing one thing and doing it right.
Hardwood, tile, carpet, floors that had to last because our name, Adair, was on them. Over time, homeowners asked us to do more. Kitchens, bathrooms, full remodels. And so our name changed to Adair Floors and Remodeling.
But flooring has always been the foundation, literally.
And it's something the next generation already understands.
Hi, I'm Ava. Hi, I'm Claire.
Ken. My dad does floors.
From hardwood and luxury vinyl plank to tile and carpet, we handle selection, layout, and professional installation.
And because we also remodel homes, we know how flooring works with everything else: transitions, finishes, and long-term durability.
When you hire Adair, you're getting experience you can stand on and people who will be here for decades to come.
Call my dad. Bye-bye.
Adair Floors and Remodeling. Built on flooring, trusted for remodels. 3 generations, 1 standard. Call us at 414-761-3660 for your free flooring estimate.
Scratch this off your bucket list. Travel by luxury motor coach to Mount Rushmore this spring. Vince Vitrano here for KB Excursions. From the western charm of Deadwood, the legendary Wall Drug, even a Royal River Casino stop. This 5 nights, 6 days trip includes meals, lodging, and all gratuities. You just have to get on board. The trip is booking now for the end of May. Let KB Excursions be your guide and your ride. Sign up now to head west at kbexcursions.com.
Tune in to Wisconsin's Midday News with Greg Matzik and Jessica Ty.
A landmark ruling in Los Angeles finds social media companies liable for impacting the mental health of a woman when she was a child.
Bringing you the latest in news, sports, traffic, and weather.
NTSB investigators will interview the 2 air traffic controllers who were on duty the night of the deadly crash at LaGuardia Airport in New York.
Every weekday from noon until 3 p.m. Only on WTMJ. It's time for some forward thinking on Point Taken. Brought to you by City Forward Collective, focusing on education in Milwaukee.
Cleston Morgan joins us every couple of weeks talking about education in our area in the state of Wisconsin. You wrote a great op-ed in the Journal Sentinel. Tell me about why you were so passionate about the op-ed and what you were trying to get across.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's always good to be here. 1 in 5 kids in Wisconsin is exercising some form of school choice, either going to another public school district, going to a public charter school, going to a private school. In Milwaukee, that number is 1 in 2. And so
I think people are surprised by how...
Yeah, it's worth sort of sitting with that for a little bit, right? 1 in 5 statewide, 1 in 2 in the city of Milwaukee. I think we talk about, and this is really where the op-ed gets to, right? We talk about these issues like they're sort of a little thing over there or an experiment. This is really the way, especially in the city, that for a generation or more, how we've been educating our kids. And we've talked about that before here. But I don't think our political conversation is matching the on-the-ground reality. I'm not saying school choice is perfect. It isn't. There are things that we need to do to improve it. But, some of the arguments and conversations that we're getting yet again in this, as we're starting to get into political season, have just felt so far removed from the on-the-ground reality that parents and families are facing. And so I wanted to call some attention to that.
Because the headline, I know firsthand that we don't always get to pick our headline when we get op-eds
I was going to say
published.
I can't take credit or
but
for that.
The headline that was chosen for you for this op-ed is, "It's time for Wisconsin Democrats to lead on education." Do you feel like Wisconsin Democrats are not leading on? Who is leading? That's actually maybe a better question. Who is leading on education
I'll
in this
answer them
state?
both. I don't know who is at this point in time. What I would say is, what we have heard are, they feel like warmed over talking points, right? We're going to fully fund, or, we're going to get rid of the unaccountable voucher, or whatever the case may be. Like, we've heard these conversations and arguments for decades. I think there are some real issues that are getting picked at underneath the surface. Special education funding needs to be increased. We've talked a lot about the funding formula being broken. Like, they're starting to get there, but maybe just starting to get there. I don't know what the solutions that are being put forward are. And I don't know that they do either, because it feels like oftentimes we're making policy by sound bites instead of actually digging into the issues.
You do point to what is the talking points of education. Money, fully funding. It's the same mantra every time. And at some point, there has to be some more to that conversation.
Absolutely. So, I would say a couple things here. First of all, accountability has to be in the conversation. Left, right, center, wherever you sit on this, people want to see the system work. We all care about our kids. We all want to see our kids do well. And there is a sense, and frankly, the data bears it out, that across the state, we're stagnant. In Milwaukee, we've talked about that before, we're in real crisis. You look at the north side of Milwaukee in particular and what's happening for Black students in Milwaukee and what that means for our state as a whole. It's worst in the nation. I'm not hearing what I think that we need to hear, which is, how are we going to address any of those challenges? How are we going to fix a broken funding system? Yes, it's broken. How are we going to fix it? yes, we need to do better by some of our students with disability, but how are we actually going to get that done? And an acknowledgement that that requires some trade-offs. And, again, as we've talked about before, what are we going to do about the crisis in educational outcomes that we see across the city of Milwaukee, especially on the north side of Milwaukee?
Did you have much? Was there a reaction to your op-ed?
Yeah, we certainly have had some. It's engendered some conversations. Both elected officials, candidates for office. I think that was the goal, right? To try to provoke some conversation. It's early. I know we got elections next week that probably more people's attention are on that. But my hope, maybe to a point, and we've got some time before we get to the fall, summer primaries and the fall general elections. But my hope is that between now and then, we can get to a conversation that gets people off the talking points and onto the actual issues that we need to deal with.
Since we're talking about elections, what do you think? People, again, they forget there's Democrats that support school choice. What do voters want, do you think?
Yeah, it's a good question, right? When you poll school choice, we've done it in Milwaukee. You could look at the Marquette Law polls. It's just consistently an over 50% issue, right? It's in the mid 50s. It can touch 60%. If you know the numbers in Wisconsin, that means you're not just talking about Republican-based voters. You are well into the independents, and you're probably at least somewhere into the Democratic majority. If you look specifically in Milwaukee, you look at these numbers for families, for voters who identify as Black, voters who identify as Hispanic, they get into the mid 60s. It makes sense, right? Most families have had access to this for 20, 30 years plus. 1 in 2 families are using this. Some form of school choice. And so when the rhetoric is we're going to end this right away, let's just talk about the private school choice program. That's 1 in 4 families in Milwaukee. That's 30,000 kids you're talking about sending back into Milwaukee public schools. I want them to do well, but I don't think any of us can with a straight face say that's a district that's ready for 30,000 more kids right now.
And so have you had those conversations with people who are campaigning on that rhetoric, right? It's like, we're going to end the voucher program. Like, have you ever been able to have the follow-up conversation with them? It's like, well, what happens to the kids who are currently in those programs?
Well, you can probably imagine that they're not eager to have that conversation. In some cases, maybe not eager to have it with me, but it's certainly one that we intend to, we have raised those conversations. Again, we've put, this is not the first time we've talked about this, even in this space. Part of putting an op-ed out is to try to open that dialogue and say, let's get past the talking points. I get it. I understand the, who's on the other side and what you're arguing for, but we got to actually deal with the reality here.
Kleston Morgan joining us, City Forward Collective, working locally nonprofit, working to ensure there's a great Milwaukee school for every Milwaukee family, parents, children, students. You can share how their organization is driving transformation in Milwaukee's educational ecosystem. Another whole segment, got to talk about your response to what the governor did. He vetoed something that involves some of these programs.
Sure does.
All right, we'll talk about that after the break. Kleston Morgan, City Forward Collective, after this.
Some of our customers want a glass shower door for the look. Some want it for a better use of their space, while others need a new glass shower door just to be safe. Like a customer we had last month. Her daughter had been hounding her to turn that old bathtub of hers into a walk-in shower. She was afraid her mother might slip when there was no one around to help her. Stepping over that bathtub wall isn't exactly safe. And besides, those old bathtub floors can be kind of slippery too. Installing a new glass shower door is pretty affordable. And not only is it safer, but it also gives your bathroom a great new look. And when you stop in our showroom, you'll see just how many options we have to give you the look you want. This is Stacy Sinks with Less's Glass Service. And glass and mirrors have been our business for over 35 years. So if it's a new glass shower door, fogged or broken insulated glass replacement, or affordable glass and mirror home decor that you've been looking for, you just can't pass on Less's Glass. Less's Glass Service, serving all of southeastern Wisconsin. Find us at lessglassservice.com.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Kennedy for QC Kinetics. There's nothing more meaningful you can do for yourself, your family, friends, than finally getting rid of that pain that you can enjoy your life again, especially heading into vacation season. Let me help you. QC Kinetics takes care of the pain in their office, and you go on with your day. That's right. You go for your treatment, life continues, your day continues. So if you can answer yes to any of these questions, you may be the kind of patient that QC Kinetics regenerative treatments can help. I have consistent joint pain in my knees, hips, shoulders, or back. Pain keeps me from getting a good night's sleep. That's miserable. I'm missing work or saying no to activities that I enjoy doing. I don't want surgery and a long recovery. I'm at the end of my rope, taking meds every day just to get through. Do you answer yes to any of those? Well, today could be the day to turn that corner and finally get relief. I did it last summer, never looked back. My elbow's good as new. elbow strain. They fixed it for me. 5 treatments. Locations Mequon and Greenfield, plus weekend appointments. They're making it easy for you. QC Kinetics treatments are easy, done in the office. As I said, you go about your day. The consultation's free. Have the conversation. Been talking a lot about that lately. Make the match with your pain treatments. QC Kinetics, 414-667-5559. That's 414-667-5559, QC Kinetics.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-551-7672. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-551-7672. That's 800-551-7672.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The Mind Chef Restaurant's Good Friday all-you-can-eat haddock fish fry is just $9.99. Easter brunch is an all-you-can-eat feast. Kids and grandkids under 3 eat for free in Hartford and Oshkosh. Google, call, and reserve your family table today. The Mine Shaft.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I'm Kristen. He's Steve. We're talking to Celestin Morgan from City Forward Collective. All right, so we talked earlier about law that Governor Evers signed when it came to a definition of anti-Semitism. One of the bills that he vetoed last week had to do with voucher program. This is how he, in his statement, this is what he said the program was and why he vetoed it. Quote, "This nationwide voucher program has no student achievement metrics, no school accountability measures, no minimum or maximum scholarship size, no certain end date, and no cap on how much of the federal government can spend." Do you think that is a fair assessment of what this program would have done?
It is a premature assessment,
Okay.
is what I would say. Let's tackle this bit by bit. Like, I understand a veto that says, I'm the governor, this is my decision to make, and I don't want, separation of powers issues. I taught civics. I understand that. What was frustrating for me and a lot of other people is that this proposal, this is the tax credit scholarship that was part of the federal reconciliation bill, maybe last summer now. What's frustrating to a lot of us is there was just some misinformation that has been being pushed, and some of it is appearing in the statement, right? There was a statement that this isn't going to go to public schools. Treasury and the Department of Education at the federal level have been super clear. Public schools are eligible, or public school students will be eligible to receive these dollars. Some of the details in that statement, they just haven't been worked out yet because this is still in federal rulemaking. So those are open questions yet to be decided. I think there are some real issues that he points to that we should have a broader conversation about. I mentioned accountability in the first part of our conversation. That's a real concern. But, veto the bill and say, this is my decision, I'm going to make it when I see all the rules. That's what the governor of North Carolina did. But we've also seen lots of other Democratic governors in other states say, I'm going to quote Jared Polis here, the governor of Colorado, who said, I would be foolish not to take these dollars. It's the argument, frankly, that Democrats have been making around another issue, Medicaid expansion and healthcare, for a decade. We should keep federal tax dollars from Wisconsin residents in Wisconsin. Exactly the same principle is true here. And that's what was so frustrating to see, that we're not seeing this be treated in the same way.
We're going to have an election for governor. We're going to have a new governor because Tony Evers is retiring, or whatever that is for Tony Evers. I have no idea. Fishing, maybe? I don't know what he'd like to do.
Hanging out with his grandkids, probably.
Hang out with his grandkids.
I thought he was a euchre player, right?
That's right. Yeah, he has mentioned that. With the candidates that are out there, lots on the Democratic side, just one, Tom Tiffany on the Republican side, that dynamic, a new person in that office, not from the education environment per se, that'll change some of these conversations, do you think?
I absolutely do, and I would even extend it beyond that. We talked last time about it was a legislative proposal last time. Now it's a bill, AB 1176. we're going to have new leadership in both chambers of the legislature, regardless of who controls it on a partisan basis, right? The Speaker has announced his retirement. The Senate Majority Leader has announced his retirement. So either one or both chambers is going to switch parties, or we're at least going to have new leaders in addition to a new governor. We have been stuck in some of these old dynamics for a long time. Maybe my hope is that with new leaders, there's an opportunity to revisit some of these questions, not from the standpoint of, looking backwards and how do we relitigate the fights from 20 and 30 years ago or even the last decade, but here's what we have right now. How do we make this work better for more of our students? That's the conversation that I hope we can get to, frankly, on both sides of the aisle.
Is this bill that got vetoed just now something that can be revisited, or is this kind of like a one and done money from the big, beautiful bill?
Again, a lot of this is still stuck in rulemaking. The federal tax credit is going to be there. That is now federal law.
Okay.
That's not going to go away at any time. The opt-in provision is available. The details are still being worked out, but presumably governors are going to have the ability to opt in every single year. So presumably whoever is our next governor will have an opportunity to opt in again. Maybe it might be too late for us to opt in for the first year of the program in 2027, but this is not a conversation that's going to go away. Again, much like the Medicaid expansion conversation.
Colestin Morgan, City Forward Collective, thanks for always bringing your A game. He doesn't just show up. He brings the stuff, which I appreciate.
Hopefully I do. I appreciate it.
And for the fans of my podcast, you're going to join me at some point in the future. Still details being ironed out with
How's it going to be different than what we do with him?
He's going to have a different guest with him that we have not talked to together.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I'll bring that guest to the show. You never know. I'm not just holding it on for my own well-being, but that's coming up. We'll have some news on that.
I'm excited for it.
Thanks as always. We'll take our final break of the Point Taken show after this on 620 WTMJ.
Our children deserve a real chance to make it in life, and a good education is a passport to opportunity. At City Ford Collective, we're working to make sure there's a great Milwaukee school for every Milwaukee family, because more good options lead to better outcomes. And who doesn't want that? Together, we can give every child the foundation they need to thrive, and a stronger future for kids means a stronger future for Milwaukee. To learn more about our mission, visit us at cityfordcollective.org. That's cityfordcollective.org.
Hey, Wisconsin, WTMJ Steve Scavidi here for Badger Fence. You know what? The moment you look out of your yard and think, boy, this fence has seen some things. We've all been in that position, right? It looks a little shaky. Maybe it's leaning. Maybe it's squeaking. Maybe it's just an idea, but when it's time to upgrade, I want three things: privacy, security, and a fence that looks really, really good and looks sharp. So my neighbors go, wow, that's a great looking fence. That's why I called Badger Fence a few years ago. They've been installing fences in the Milwaukee area since, get this, 1945. They're Better Business Bureau accredited with an A+ rating. Doesn't get better than that. And a longtime NARI Milwaukee member. They make it easy. They'll walk you through the styles, materials, wood cedar, which is what we chose, ornamental, chain link, PVC vinyl, very popular now, so you'll land on the right look for your home and your budget. Badger Fence is licensed, bonded, insured, and they use quality materials, the best materials, which matters when you want this fence to hold up season after season in Wisconsin. If a new fence is on your list this year, set an appointment at badgerfence.com and tell them Steve from WTMJ sent you.
Hi, this is Michelle Voskel, CPA and team member at the Neal Group. If 2025 didn't go exactly as planned, you're not alone. You made it through, and that's what counts. Now it's time for taxes, and for a lot of people, that's when the stress kicks in, especially if things got messy along the way. The good news? A rough year doesn't mean a ruined future. We helped Nate fix a tax mess with the IRS created by one of those national firms and saved him $103,000 in penalties, plus another $150,000 in taxes, because we know the tax law. Imagine walking into tax season with a plan, clarity, and someone in your corner who knows the tax law and knows how to use it. You earned it. We help you keep it. Call us now at 414-325-2040 to arrange a meeting to see how we can help you. Don't wait. Call now. That's 414-325-2040 or visit nealgroup.net.
Hi, this is Mike from Infinity Exteriors. Most contractors cut corners and disappear when there's a problem. Not us. Since 1997, we've completed over 60,000 projects, earned thousands of 5-star reviews, and were named 2025 Roofing Magazine Contractor of the Year. We set the standard for exterior remodeling. Trusted by homeowners, proven every single day. We're excited to show you why choosing Infinity means peace of mind. Visit infinityexteriors.com to see why your neighbors trust Infinity.
Prizes, flyaways, even
Cash money. You want it? We've got it. Find a list of all contests and official rules by visiting WTMJ.com/contests.
That's WTMJ.com/contests. WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee. From the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
We had a lot of content today. You know, it's kind of a radio buzzword, contents. Talk about it all the time in our side meetings, our excessively often boring meetings that we do after the show. But content was rich today. Rich today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Okay. That's all you got?
We're going to have more content tomorrow.
Yes,
we're going to do an overtime, not safe for work.
Yeah, kind of a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it.
Looks maxing. How would you define, from what you've learned so far, how would you define looks maxing?
Just from the videos I've watched, it's like guys like stressing their looks over everything else to try to impress women. I mean, that's sort of where I look at it. Is that it?
I think so.
Which just creeps me out to no end. Because as somebody who is average looking, I don't like spend a ton of time on my looks, especially at my advanced age. But it's like, what's inside? Am I naive to think that still matters to people? Or is it just all superficial nonsense now?
No, I think it still matters to people.
Okay. I'm glad you said that.
I think it still matters to women. This is the ironic thing to me, is like, I don't think women in choosing a mate optimize. I think they like, I don't know. This is what we're going to get into.
That's why I can't wait to talk about
because
it.
I feel like there is still something as far as personality that matters than just looks when it comes to women choosing men. I don't know. I think men men prioritize looks.
Well,
maybe
the
that's a
modern man
stereotype.
does, certainly. It's kind of lazy and dumb.
I don't know.
You
But we're
want,
going to get into
you want
it.
a part that makes you laugh and is emotional and all in.
Yeah. Bonus content.
Bonus content. Yeah, we love that term too. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Kristen Steve, Point Taken. News is next. Hey, it's WTMJ Steve Scafidi.
And Kristen Bry of Point Taken.
Kristen, did you know that only 40% of Americans have done any estate planning and only 40% of those have been properly updated?
When it comes to wills, trusts, and probate, there's a lot at stake. I needed someone who specializes in estate planning. At Walney Legal Group, that's all they do.
No intimidating lawyers.